Well, speaking of the framers of the Constitution, they have, of course, been gone for about 200 years, but Democrats agree they would have hated President Trump. How do they know that? We'll explore that question next. Also, a late night in the House of Representatives tonight. A Rules Committee is expected to vote in about 30 minutes. We'll determine what happens next with impeachment! We'll be back. You know what they say about cockroaches applies just as consistently to Democratic talking points. There's never just one. When you hear a Democrat use a particular line of attack, you can be absolutely certain his colleagues will be using it too, assuming they aren't already. The left is nothing if not coordinated. Here's the latest example. Democrats explaining, in concert, of course, that the people who founded this country strongly agreed with them.
The presidential election was tarnished by foreign influence, a danger our founding fathers warned us about.
What the founding fathers warned against.
What our founding fathers feared most.
Confronting what the framers warned us about.
It's the opposite of what the framers wanted for us.
His actions are in defiance of the vision of our founders.
It is an outrage, and frankly, it's a tremendous disrespect to the Constitution and to our framers.
If Washington were here today, if he were joined by Madison and Hamilton and other framers, what do you believe they would say if presented with the evidence before us about President Trump's conduct?
I believe the framers would identify President Trump's conduct as exactly the kind of abuse of office, high crime and misdemeanor that they were worried about.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the framers are totally on board. Yeah, yeah. Oh, for sure. Got that? Democrats care deeply and passionately about the founding fathers. But wait, isn't this the same party that's working to eliminate the founders' life's work? The First and Second Amendments to the Bill of Rights? The Electoral College? Yeah, it's the same party. So actually, the opposite is true, as is so often the case. The left has nothing but contempt for the men who founded this country, and that's why they're forever denouncing them as racist. So why are Democrats suddenly telling you the opposite of that? Well, because that's what the left does. They don't simply lie, they invert the truth. Whatever they claim you did is exactly what they themselves are doing. We can think of a few examples, but here's one. Do you remember the hysteria over, quote, family separation? People on cable news were deeply upset about it at the time.
His calculated, cruel separation of young children from their parents at the Mexico border.
Ripping babies from mothers' arms at the border, that only makes evangelicals love him even more.
It's too late. It's yours. You've done it. And there are babies who are hurting right now, and that won't end. And that trauma is permanent.
For these parents that are separated from their children, this is a humanitarian crisis.
His administration's very hideous and unpopular policy to separate migrant families from their children at the southern border.
Man, you could just feel the passion there. If there's one thing Joe Scarborough won't count, he's not a judgy man, but if there's one thing, politics aside, that Joe considers just totally immoral and wrong, it's separating families. I mean, call him old-fashioned, but Joe just doesn't believe in that. It's not how he was raised. Breaking up that sacred unit, two parents, husband and wife, raising their kids together. Anyone who would do that, and Joe, again, doesn't want to be judgmental here, but sometimes it's hard not to be. That's how passionate he feels about it. Anyone who would break up and separate a family, says Joe Scarborough, is beneath contempt. The lowest of the low. Disgusting. As Joe's third wife put it so aptly, family separation is simply calculated and cruel. It's just not something decent people do. Just so you know. Victor Davis Hanson is a classics professor. He's a senior fellow at the Hoover Institution, author of the book The Case for Trump, among many other volumes worth reading, and he joins us tonight. Professor, as you see the Democratic Party reach backward to the founders to justify what they're doing right now, what, as someone who knows a lot about the founding period in this country's history, what's your response to that?
Well, they don't identify themselves, Tucker, as liberals anymore. They're progressives, and by definition, progressives want to go beyond or evolve beyond the Constitution. So we've heard nothing from the people that you just aired, nothing from them, but that, as you said, the framers were dead old white men. They were racist, sexist, they were intolerant, some of them were slave owners, and that their documents, the founding documents and the framing of the Constitution, was flawed at the outset. And that's why they want to change the Second Amendment or amend it until it's unrecognizable. They want to put hate speech codes into the First Amendment to water it down. They, as you said, they want to get rid of the Electoral College. They're mad that there's 2 senators in 40 million California and only 2 in Wyoming. 2 in Wyoming and 2 in California. That's not fair. So we shouldn't take these references to the founders seriously. If you read the Federalist Papers 65 and 66, or what Madison said, what we're seeing now is exactly what they were afraid of. The majority party that was in opposition of the House turning impeachment into something like a parliamentary vote of no confidence. They didn't want that. So they discussed how to stop it. Let's have the House do impeachment. Let's have 2/3 in the Senate. Let's have the Supreme Court justice be the arbiter, and it would be rare. And we've never removed a president because of what the founders foresaw. And in the past, the immediate past, we always had bipartisan support. We had some public support. We had a special counsel. We had a fair adjudication of witnesses. This is not like the Nixon inquiry or the Clinton. This is like Andrew Johnson impeachment, where it was a stain on the record of the United States. It was exactly the opposite, as this is, of what the framers intended. And I had a couple of other things just in finishing, Tucker. What's going to happen in January when 4 senators who are candidates for the presidency are going to put themselves and be the adjudicators of whether Donald Trump, their likely opponent for president, they're going to be judging and running against him at the same time. And the Constitution also said that when a president leaves office, he's not exempt from the crimes that he was found guilty of if convicted in the Senate. So if there's really something wrong with Donald Trump, when he gets back to Mar-a-Lago, is a local district attorney going to say, you're not exempt, we're going to put you on trial for obstructing Congress, or you abuse your power, that's a crime? It's not going to happen. And so the whole thing is a joke, and it's a cruel joke, it's a tragic joke, because it's dividing the country, and we're more like it's 1859 or 1860 than 2019. And
4 U.S. senators running for president will be sitting in judgment of the current president. That tells you everything right there. Professor, thanks so much for that. Good to see you.
Thank you.